Today I'm going to be talking about one of the best comedy movies ever made, American Pie. My name is Hayden Baker and welcome back to Hayden Cinema, and if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn on your notification bell, that way you stay up to date with all of my posts. So I noticed that a lot of creators and talking heads on YouTube who review movies like myself, they haven't really talked about this franchise. This is one of the most popular comedy franchises ever made, and now it's so popular that there are literally like 6 other movies that aren't even a part of the main 4, like they're spin-offs. I really wanted to talk about this franchise. Only going to be talking about the first 4. As far as the 4 goes, this one is, if not my favorite, my second favorite. I am going to be ranking all 4 of these movies and going to be reviewing all 4 of these movies, so please keep a lookout for that. But as far as American Pie goes and my viewing experience and my relationship with this film, I actually grew up watching this movie. I started watching it way too young, way younger than I probably should have. It was one of those movies that I think I walked in on my dad in the living room and he was watching it or something. And then later on, probably when I was 10 or 11, I found it, I think, in his movie shelf, and I took it to my bedroom and put it on. And then I don't think I actually watched the entire movie. I think the first time I watched this movie entirely, I was probably 13 years old. So, does American Pie hold up? And is it still one of the funniest movies ever made? Kicking it off with the good of this movie, all of my positives, and to let you know right now, I only have one mixed feeling for this movie. There is not one bad feeling, so yes, obviously it did good for me. Again, on this most recent rewatch, this movie is absolutely hilarious. There's not one joke that falls flat. Every single one hits. It is one of the more funnier movies, with much like Dumb and Dumber and like Step Brothers, how it's like probably 2 to 5 jokes per minute. Like, there's so many punchlines and so many kickers here, and every single one of them still work for me. Even if I don't bust out laughing, inside I'm dying, and on the outside I'm smiling through and through this entire movie. This movie still holds up, and what I love about comedy, and I watch a lot of stand-up and listen to all of their podcasts that they have, and what makes comedy so good is how, for one, how relatable it is. There's a saying that it's funny because it's true, whether it's offensive or not. A joke isn't really a super good joke unless it doesn't offend anyone, and there's knock-knock jokes that offend people. This movie, it is harder for someone to come into in 2025 for their first time in their early 20s and watch this movie, and they're not going to get every joke. They're not going to understand the context of when this took place. This is one movie that is very within its time, although it still holds up. The things that they talk about and they do, as they are relatable to teenagers and to high school students and to even early college students, they don't really hold up to what students do today. It's so relatable, and that's what makes a lot of the jokes very funny. You got great performances here out of Jason Biggs, Sean William Scott, Eddie Thomas, Chris Klein, Allison Hannigan, who gives one of the most quotable quotes out of any movie ever made.
And this one time at band camp,
And this movie is so quotable. This, Friday, a lot of Sandler movies, those are what makes these movies so great, not even with the comedy, but just Standing Alone in Time. This movie was also a staple in cinema as far as comedy goes. This changed comedy. The comedies that came after this tried so hard to be this. Also, something that I noticed after this rewatch is that it's really not as dirty as it was seen to be back in 10, 15, 20 years ago, especially about 25, 26 years ago when it first came out. This movie isn't as dirty as it was considered back then. It's still a pretty dirty comedy. More of what they're talking about in the context, not even as far as the jokes go. The jokes really don't go too far. You got the jizz beer with Stifler. I mean, that's probably the dirtiest thing that happens in this entire movie. And then you have one scene that you couldn't even do nowadays in film, where Nadia's getting undressed and Jim has like the live webcam going up and recording her in his bedroom. Couldn't do that nowadays, but it's still so funny. But again, like I said, this is a staple in comedy any comedy that came after it really tried to replicate what this movie captured. Everything that Jason Biggs is able to do in this movie, it's hilarious. It's a really beautiful showcase for him in his early years of being an actor, but he's mentioned 100 times that he will never not be grateful for what this film has done for him in his career, and he's still happy every time he gets noticed as Jim from the American Pie movies. He doesn't mind it at all from what he says, but it's still amazing how this movie has held up through time in the past 25, it's getting close to 30 years since this movie's been released, and it still holds up very well. And a big part of that, again, also what makes it funny, like I said, is the relatability. This is the most realistic showcase for how it is being a high school student, the things that they talk about, that they go through, the relationships, also how heartwarming this is. This isn't just you're another raunchy comedy. Part 2, 3, and 4 are definitely more along the raunchier side. This one is actually pretty grounded with its comedy, and it's not just balls to the wall. But it's a really great coming of age movie, and how the underdog comes out on top, and their motives and what they're trying to do, and their goal of trying to lose their virginity before prom, or even before graduation at least. It really is a very sweet and heartwarming movie at its core. But it just so happens to be one of the funniest movies ever made. You think of things like Stranger Things bringing back the 80s and stuff. We don't really have anything bringing back the 90s because no one knows how to capture the 90s. And this one is a great showcase for what a 90s movie is. And it does a really, really, really good job at pulling you into that experience and not letting you go. And you do easily fall in love with every single character, from Jim to Michelle to even Stifler. Every single one of them I absolutely love. Again, I can see if someone wants to watch this for the first time today, they might not like it, especially with, again, the Nadia scene, jizz beer, very frat boy humor. But in my opinion, it's also a pretty sweet, heartwarming coming of age movie that I grew up with, and I absolutely love it for. Even if there are flaws, I even tried looking, I could not find any flaws. This movie it's just fantastic, and there's so many hilarious scenes that are so iconic, like Jim scrubbing the pie, literally what the movie is named after. It was going to be named something else about the creators, I forget his name, and I forget the school's name, but it was going to be named after his school, or that was the cover name for the script. That way it never got leaked. But it being switched to American Pie is so fitting and so hilarious within it. In and of itself. Now moving on into the mix, the only mixed thing I have with this movie is the pacing, and I say it's a mix because it's not even really enough to be a mix. I just kind of wanted to throw something here, but the pacing is a little stretched. It's not even a long movie by any means, but there are a couple of beats where you do feel it, especially with Chris Klein's character when he's going from jock to trying to be a romance and hooking up with this girl, but not even really hooking up with her. Like, he actually starts falling in love with her, which is what is so sweet and beautiful. But you do kind of feel it with his scenes, but it's still earned, it's still deserved, and I don't think it's long at all. I think it's perfect the way it is. I wouldn't change a single thing about it. But this is also more of something that I've noticed other people who've watched the movie kind of say, especially with part 2. I'll get into that in that movie, but especially if you watch the extended cut or unrated cuts, there's a couple of bits that actually do exaggerate a lot. Like in part 2, you have the lesbian dildo scene. That scene goes on for like almost 10 minutes in the unrated cut, and that's normally the cut that people want to watch. So if you're going to watch this movie for the first time, any of these movies for the first time, I would highly recommend the unrated cuts and the extended cuts because they're a lot more funnier. There's really great bits there. But if you just want the story, if you just want to experience the movie for what it is, and you don't really care about the extra bits and stuff, definitely the theatrical versions are just as good in my opinion. And you won't really feel the pacing like some will with the first and second movie. So overall, I really love this movie. I think it's wonderful. It might be nostalgia, but I highly doubt it. It's one of the funniest movies ever made. I could not imagine anything coming out nowadays even being close to being as funny as this. But yeah, that is my review for American Pie. And as far as this movie goes, I'm actually going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 on comedy standards. It's not like Sinners, you put it against Sinners and it's still a 4.5. But as far as comedy goes, as far as it's still holding up, the heartwarming story, this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me personally. So that is my review for American Pie. Like I said, I am going to be reviewing all 4 movies and going to be ranking them. I might review a couple of the spin-offs, but I highly doubt it. Don't look forward to that. But please look forward to the other ones. Please let me know what your favorite comedies are. What do you think about American Pie? What do you think about the entire series? And which one's your favorite? Go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you stay up to date with all of my posts. You can follow me on all of my social medias. They'll all be linked down in the description. And I really hope you enjoy watching this just as much as I enjoyed making it for you. And I'll see y'all next time.